Hello there, Dustin Zarni, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County, and welcome to Commissioner in a Car. We're going to be talking today about the record registrations at the Onondaga County Board of Elections and all the work that we have to do going forward over the next month. We are in crunch time. It is now October, and I'm sorry I'm a day late with my Commissioner in a Car, although I think this might be the schedule from now on, is on Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays. And it may be my only content instead of 3 pieces of content a week. I may be just going down to the Commissioner in a Car for the next month because we are in crunch time at the Board of Elections. And that's, a scary concept because of how close the election is and how far behind we are. But one of the reasons we are is just this record amount of registrations that have come in over the last 2 months, record amount of forms over online, over the counter, mail, absentee ballot requests. There's just been this snowball over the last 2 months, but we're going to get it done. We always have to. So right now, I released some numbers yesterday. The Board of Elections released some numbers, and I expanded on them a little bit. But we are now over 313,000 voters. I believe it's like 313,500 active registered voters. That is a record in Onondaga County. And not only is it a record, it destroys the previous record, and we still have a month to go. The previous record was around 308,500 registered voters in November of 2020, the last presidential election. And to be quite honest, we've actually not grown at all since, obviously, since that's still the record. But we actually lost a couple of thousand voters through to attrition. In between presidential elections, normally you lose a little bit of voters. The 1 years that it was different was the Trump years, where there was this increase of activity over the 4 years during the Trump presidency, where registrations continue to go up even during his presidency, and then reach another crescendo in 2020. But since then, things have kind of tapered off. We actually, at the beginning of September, on September 1st, we were at 306,000 voters, or 307,000 voters. Yeah, around 307,000 voters. And so that means we added 6,000 voters in the month of September. Now, not all of those registrations are from September, some of them from August, but you get what I'm saying. The Board of Elections processed enough forms to add 6,000 voters. But that doesn't mean 6,000 forms, because for every one new voter, we're updating, changes of address, party changes, duplicate forms. We probably do about 5 to 6 to 1 ratio of number of forms to a new voter. And each form has to be touched by 2 different people, a Democrat and a Republican, as constitutionally provided by New York State. And actually, not just constitutionally provided, but it's actually physically impossible in our system to verify a voter. Like a Republican has to verify a Democratic form that was created by a Democrat, and vice versa. So that means, each form is 2 touches. Sometimes we have to call for information if stuff is left off the form, those kind of things. So it's been a tremendous amount of work, and that's just a registration. So, and we'll get into the partisan stuff about that in a little bit. We also have over 18,000, as of right now, ballot requests. And we're adding 500 to 1,000 a day of requests coming in at the current pace that is going on. Anywhere from 250 to 500 to 1,000. It depends on how many we're processing. So these are the early vote by mail and absentee ballot requests, or just vote by mail. So we have over 18,000 requests in. We started sending those out. Well, the first batch, about 1,200 ballots went out to our federal only voters, and that was on Friday, September, September 20th. And that was the first batch of voters went out. Then we started sending to our regular voters, but it took a little bit of time to process that. We actually have a vendor that helps out with that because of the large volume. And our vendor sent out the first 16,000 or so absentee ballots on Monday, the 30th. And then another 2,000 or so absentee ballots and vote by mail ballots are hitting the mail today. So those mail ballots are going to start being received. In fact, we already know they've started to be received by citizens in Onondaga County. And then we're going to get another, I think we got another batch of 2,000 or 3,000 that will be going out and adding to that total over the next day or two. So we are sending out a lot of vote by mail ballots as well. And to put that in perspective, that is not a record. The record for vote by mail ballots was during the 2020 election. And of course, the pandemic allowed and motivated a lot of people to vote or to try to vote by mail. So that is what, that is what was that. And we had over 68,000 ballot requests and over 57,000 people voted by mail in 2020. So that's the record. But you really can't compare a pandemic year like 2022, what's going on today. So the next record was about 16,000 vote by mail absentee ballots that were requested in the 2016 presidential election. So we've already shattered that. We're over around 18,000, going to be around 20,000 by the end of this week. That's gone. We've already beat that record, and we're going to continue to add. I doubt we'll get to 68,000. That is, that's a lofty number. And I doubt we'll get to that amount, but we'll be pretty high. So the vote by mail ballots, all happened with this surge in registration. And we are behind at the Onondaga County Board of Elections. There's no doubt about it, but we're always behind around this time. But what we have done to address that is that we've hired a lot of temporary help. We now have 8 temporary workers at the Board of Elections working full-time. All the workers are not just working full-time, but we're working mandatory overtime. We're working 6 days a week right now, and starting Monday, we will work every day until election. Although some people are already working every day. Me and a few others are working every day as well. We have unlimited overtime for our staff. We have mandatory overtime for our staff going on right now to try to just tackle this crescendo of applications and apps. Because we have to get it all processed by the start of early voting, and really a little bit before that. October 26th is the start of early voting. So it's the last day to request an absentee ballot, to guarantee that we're going to mail it to you. It's also the last day to register. So we really want to be caught up by that day. So we're in it now. Today is October 2nd. We have 24 days till that day, but really we want to kind of get it done, maybe 4 or 5 days before then and be in cleanup mode going into that. So we are in it, and we got some great temporary help that are there that are processing a lot of these absentee applications. We got a lot of temporary help that have been there for a while that are helping with voter registration. Unfortunately, I've talked about this many times. The permanent staff numbers that we have at the Onondaga County Board of Elections is the lowest in the state. Can't solve that today. And so we can only remember that when people ask how we got so far behind. But that doesn't mean that we're going to stay behind, because we have a mandate and we're going to get it done. And we always have. I believe in this crew. I believe in the Board of Elections in Onondaga County. And both sides are working incredibly hard and will manage it. We've been working with the state board on strategies and implementing those strategies. And we've already seen a tremendous amount of movement off the top line where we were about a week and a half ago. So I'm very optimistic today. Let's see if I'm optimistic tomorrow, but I probably will be, because I know that the staff, I think we're going to be really processing things over the next couple of days and into the weekend. So that's what's going on. So let's talk about the partisan aspect of this, because this is quite amazing. It's not just that so many forms are coming in, but yes, there is a definitive partisan lean to both the registration and the absentees. And I reported those numbers out because they're the numbers. I would report it out if they were pro-Republican, but they are at this point very pro-Democrat. What do I mean by that? So the Democrats and the Republicans have had a lead in Onondaga County of about, 32 to 33,000 more registered Democrats and Republicans in Onondaga County. And the non-enrolleds have actually surpassed the Republicans in Onondaga County. But there's been kind of this detente since the 2020 election where Democrats were on about the same level they've always been, and they've always been, they kept that same gap between the Republicans. The non-enrolleds, in the other hand, were rising all throughout the last 4 years. In the last couple months, things have changed. Democrats are rising at almost the same rate as non-enrolleds, and Republicans are rising, but at a lesser rate. Democrats added a net of 1,000 more voters in the month of September, a net of 400 more voters in the month of August. And before that, there was no net. In fact, sometimes Democrats lost a few, 30, 60 voters to the Republicans. This is an indication of the enthusiasm going into the last month of election, at least in Onondaga County. So 1,000 more people who have registered net are, Republicans now in the last month. And Democrats are extending their vote lead over Republicans. But still the highest growing rate in Onondaga County is the non-enrolled. They are growing at a slightly faster rate than the Democrats right now. Now, it'll take a long time for the non-enrolled to catch up to the Democrats. Non-enrolleds are around 92,000 voters in Onondaga County. Democrats are at 118,000 voters. The pace that is going on now would probably have to take 5 to 10 years before the non-enrolleds catch up to the Democrats, at least. And that assumes that the current enthusiasm for not enrolling in a party will continue, and we've seen that ebb and flow over history's time. Though it has continued quite steadily in Onondaga County for the last 8 years, that non-enrolleds have been growing and overtaking the Republicans a few years back, and it is now a major segment of our voters. It's always been a major segment, but the second most populous segment of voters is the non-enrolled voters in Onondaga County. And we also see that in ballot, vote by mail ballot requests. Unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately because I think vote by mail should be used by everybody. I think it's a great tool. And I'm very happy the early vote by mail statute has been upheld. I have the bill on my wall behind me in my office. I think it's a great achievement by the New York State Legislature and Governor Hochul, and to win that court case. And it has become the most popular form of vote by mail. It's over 9,000 people who requested vote by mail to the, about 8,000 people, or, slightly less total for absentee ballots. So it is a very, very big part of the record number of vote by mails that we have this year. But yes, there's a partisan lean as well. Over 10,500 of the 18,000 vote by mail requests are Democrats. Do the math. That's way over half. There's not over half of Onondaga County Democrats. It is the plurality, but it's about 40% of the population, not well over 50, 60% of the population. So Democrats are choosing to vote by mail at a higher rate than Republicans or non-enrolled. Non-enrolled are the second rate, but it's not really close to the Democrats. I think it's around 4,500, and Republicans are third, again, around 4,000 or so vote by mail requests. So Democrats are dominating the requests for the vote by mail. As I told you earlier in the podcast, the ballots are just starting to hit this week. So people are going to start sending those back. And then we'll see. Really, that's a good indication of enthusiasm, because it's one thing to request a vote by mail ballot. It's another thing to vote it and send it back. Now, we've made it easier. New York State now, there goes my light. I got to turn on my car for my light. New York State now, it does their
motorcade stop.
We pay for the postage for all vote by mail ballots, so it's easier than ever to return it. You just have to put it in the ballot envelope that we give you, and voila, you just put it in the receptacle and it comes back to us. You can also come down to the Board of Elections. It's one-stop shopping. You can get your ballot, vote, and leave. And in fact, about 172 people have done that. We have about 172 or so ballots that have been returned to the office. Most of those, the large percentage of those, are people who have showed up at the office and requested it and voted and been done. And so that's, over the next week or so, watch my Twitter and Facebook feed. I'll be updating not just the returns that applications we process, but the returns that are coming back. And I will have partisan breakdowns on my feed. Partisan breakdowns are not on the Onondaga County Board of Elections feed, because while we're bipartisan, we're not nonpartisan at the Onondaga County Board of Elections. We just report the totals because we want you to vote, and I do too. I don't care what party you're in. I want you to vote. So Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, whatever. If you need help in voting, we're going to help you at the Board of Elections. So that being said, with us working 60, 70-hour weeks, I do think my content is going to be slower. It just is. But I also know that a lot of people like these podcasts, so I'm going to keep up with the commissioner in the car. That's going to happen every week, so you can know about all the deadlines, and I can continue to talk to you about our progress at the Board of Elections. But I doubt my Zoom with Zarnies will continue, and I doubt my weekly wonks will continue in the month of October. We are working 6-7 days a week, 60, 70 hours a week each. And afterward, to be quite honest, I'm just exhausted. And a lot of times my content, almost all the time, my content is on my own time. I don't have any own time right now. So I'm going to continue with the commissioner in car, and I'm going to do it on Wednesdays. It kind of fits into my schedule a little bit better in terms of my home life and a few other things. So probably 7 o'clock-ish or so on Wednesdays, I'm going to be doing my commissioner in a car. But the other content, it will heavily depend on whether I have time or not. One other thing that I didn't get to do is a Zarni seminar on how to vote by mail. So, I kind of went over the totals, but let me give you a little mini thing right now about how to vote by mail. If you want to vote by mail, you can go to our website at onvote.net. That will have a link to you can check your registration. If you're not registered, you can register online. And if you are registered, you can request an absentee ballot. All three of those things are available right on the front page at onvote.net. And let me just say, please, 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 if you're thinking about doing any kind of voter registration change or requesting an absentee ballot, do it online. We are up to date and processed on all online applications. They're the easiest to process, and that is your best bet to get a quicker ballot or a quicker registration done. We pretty much do those on a daily basis right now. So that's your best bet. Do it online at onvote.net. Now, when we send you a mail ballot, there's going to be, it's going to have 3 different envelopes. You're going to have the envelope that it comes in. You're going to have the envelope that the outside envelope is, the outside envelope is what the entire absentee ballot package comes in. The envelope that then has the return envelope is inside. So when you're done, you put your ballot and your oath envelope in the return envelope, and then the third envelope is the oath envelope, and then of course your ballot is in there. So you get your ballot, you fill out your ballot, you put it inside the oath envelope, you seal it, you sign and date the oath envelope, and then you put the oath envelope inside the return envelope. You can discard the delivery envelope, and then you put the return envelope in the mail. You don't need a stamp. It's postage paid, any mail receptacle, and then it'll come to us. You can go to onvote.net and check whether we've issued you a ballot. You can go to onvote.net and check if we received your ballot back. And if there's any issues, you can give us a call at 315-435-VOTE, and we will try to track down your ballot and find out what happened to it, issue you a second ballot if we need to, or advise you of your options. Now, if a ballot has been issued, you will not be able to vote on the machines on Election Day or during early voting. So once we, at the Board of Elections, issue a ballot, we will you'll be tagged in the system, and it won't allow you to vote on the machines, because your ballot, when it comes back, it's immediately canvassed, separated from the envelope, so nobody can tell how you voted, and put in the return pile. So we can't retrieve that ballot later on when you vote at the polls on Election Day. But you could, if you requested an absentee ballot and you didn't turn one back in, you can still go to the polls and vote by what's called affidavit ballot. So as long as you haven't returned your absentee ballot, you vote by affidavit ballot. We will do research after the election, make sure you haven't voted twice, and then count that affidavit ballot. And if for some reason we can't count it, we will send you a letter and tell you exactly why. 99% of the reasons why we can't count it when in the case of an absentee is because you returned an absentee ballot, and that we got it back, and that is why you're not allowed to vote twice. So that is in total the kind of the long and short of it for absentee balloting. So that is ongoing right now. Go to onvote.net. You can request a ballot. You can register to vote. You can check your registration. You can check your absentee ballot status and whether we've issued you a ballot or not. And do not wait. Vote your ballots. Get them back. You do have to postmark them by Election Day, but don't wait till then. Because if you want your ballot to be part of the election night returns, that means the returns that go out on election night along with our early voting and Election Day counting, then those ballots must be received by the Board of Elections and canvassed by the Sunday before Election Day. So, or Sunday, the Sunday before Election Day. So, I highly suggest that you just get it in. right away. Take advantage of the postage paid and be voted for this election. So that's all I got for you today. It's Commissioner in the car. And I'm going to go home and pass out. But content will probably be coming once a week on Wednesdays just to get you updated, and maybe right before Election Day as well. And of course, I'll be doing posts almost every day on the absentee ballot, trackers, and every week at the Board of Elections, we're posting updates on our voter registration. So check that out. And do not miss your chance to vote in this very important election. And don't worry, the Onondaga County Board of Elections will be ready for the October 26th early voting, which we'll talk about in future Commissioner in the Cars. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.